Okay, so I decided I wanted to do a quick video. Um, it's probably my first video in about 5 or 6 years. I don't do these things, but um, I thought it'd be helpful for others because I found a few videos that gave me some tips, what to expect. So I thought I'd give my experience. Maybe it'll help a few people what to know, what to look for, what not to do. Today is what's the date? The 24th of February, Thursday. Um, I had surgery back on January 13th for a torn tricep uh, at the elbow, and of course, there's three heads to the tricep, and this was the one that's attached to the olecranon bone at the elbow. Um, Dealt with tendonitis for years, from working out. Skull crushers got that to a point where it got too painful, which is common. That's a common injury for that type of movement because you can only do a certain amount of weight. If you try to go heavy, it puts too much strain there. And when I went to the doctor, I found out a lot of the pain was due to bone spur that had developed in that area. And then, of course, there was some pain with the tendon. So he said, the only way to take it out would be going and have surgery. So I said, okay, we'll hold off, and then we'll hold off on the MRI, until it gets, really serious. So this was around right before Christmas. So I'm playing basketball one day, and I went and, threw a two-hand overhead pass, and I felt something pop in my elbow, and I knew that was what it was, and it was pretty painful. I know I did some damage. Normally the pain goes away if it's just a strain, but it wasn't going away. I tried to keep playing, but it wasn't. I just didn't have enough strength there, so and it was actually that's when I went to the doctor. It was after that first injury, and I mentioned to him, we'll hold off on the MRI because they're expensive, and I'll see how it feels. So about a week went by, and it started feeling better. So I went and tried to play basketball again, and like a dumbass, I don't know why I did it. I did the exact same pass, two-hand overhead pass, and I put some pepper on it like I hadn't even heard it before. And I completely tore it this time, and I knew it. As soon as I heard it, you can hear the pop. Felt like a firecracker going off on my elbow. Pain was intense, even more than the first time. I tried to rest it a little bit, try to get back in and play again, put an elbow brace on it, but it was gone. So I knew I'd have to go get an MRI just to confirm it. And sure enough, it was a complete tear. So I had the surgery scheduled, was on January 13th. Got it done. He said everything was successful. He said it was so damaged when he went in there, it had retracted up my arm about an inch. So luckily that's not as bad as a lot of times a muscle tear is either bicep or tricep. It'll retract all the way up your arm. So surgery is a little bit more intense. But mine was pretty routine. The typical recovery time based on normal surgery specs is about 4 to 6 weeks in a cast. Usually they had me in a cast about I think it was a 70-degree angle, just to keep it immobile for a few months. But the problem was the cast was so big, I couldn't put any coat or long sleeve shirt on. All I had was short sleeve shirts, and it's 20-30 degrees out. So I had to ask him. I said, "Can we do something else for this?" He was hesitant because it was still so early. I mean, this was only 3-4 days after the surgery, but he agreed to give me a removable splint a brace as long as I agreed to keep it on. I was like, okay, that's fine. So I had the splint, and of course, in my mindset, I'm used to working out every day. Um, this was the first major injury I had since I tore my Achilles, and that was like 20 years ago. So I knew what I was in for. They said the typical recovery time for torn tricep is about 6 to 8 months. And I knew that's just not. I had to get back quicker than that, so I was going to push the limits. Of course, I'm not going to tell him what I'm doing, but I wasn't going to be, doing anything stupid. But I was going to do everything I can to push it a little faster. So I think about 5 days after surgery, I had my brace. I went back in and started working out. I was doing anything I can. Of course, I'm not doing any pushing exercises. But one thing I did read was I wasn't going to start doing anything on this side of my body because I didn't want it to get too far out of proportion. But what I read was it actually helps to work that healthy side. Somehow, I don't know how, but it helps the healing side heal faster, helps it grow. It's something about the energy comes across. So it actually something that it helps heal the speeding process up. So I didn't neglect this side. I went ahead and did what I could on this side, and little by little, day by day, I was starting to add a little bit more to it. There were a couple instances where I would drop something like reaction, try to grab it, and I'd extend my arm out, and that's when the pain really, I knew I was a little too early in the surgery, too soon after surgery, because the pain was more intense when I tried to extend it all the way right on the inside of my bone. You can tell where the anchors were attached to my elbow, so that was just definitely a scare. But weeks went by, I started adding more to it. So now come, this week, it's about 5 weeks. I started adding a little bit more push. Pain was getting less intense. Some of the tricep exercises is still real tender. I can only do a certain amount of weight, but I'm able to push now a little bit more weight. I'm able to do 135 incline. Still definitely a little painful, but it's not unbearable. So I know it's getting close, and I think I'm past the point where that tendon will actually it's not in any danger of tearing again, or the anchors coming out, unless I just do something really traumatic to knock it out. But I knew I was over the hump and well far along the normal standards when I was able to do 30, 40 normal push-ups with no problem. So I know the next step, once I get to a point where I'm able to do dips, then I know it's strong enough, and it's just a matter of getting past the pain and building the tricep up. I don't know if you can tell how much it shrinks. This is my good arm, the tricep, and this is the one. I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, you can tell it's definitely a lot smaller on this part. This is where I build up when a lot of the tricep exercises like dip and push up is where that keeps that solid. But you can see it's amazing how short of a time it takes to lose muscle, but it takes years to build it up. But then you get an accident, and then you can go weeks without having to do any exercises, and then all of a sudden it's just like a balloon. All the air just comes out of it. It's frustrating, but I go see my doctor tomorrow for an update. I'm pretty sure he'll see that I'm a lot further along than what the normal protocol would be. Did my own PT. If you work out a lot and you've done it for years and you know your body, there's not really much PT can help you. I mean, everything you need to learn, if you need to know something, you can look it up on YouTube, save a whole lot of money. You just got to put in the work to do it yourself. So we'll see how it goes tomorrow. I just wanted to give an update. Anybody had any questions that they have been through the same thing or they're going through the same thing, I can let you know exactly what to look for, what not to do, and of course, if you want to, depends on how much you want to push yourself, but just do it smart. It's pretty hard to tear it again unless, like I said, unless you just do something out absolutely crazy. But just don't let it sit. I think the mistake they make is having it isolated for so long. They want it isolated for 4 or 6 weeks with no movement, and then after that they start working on range of motion, and that's why the process takes so long, because you can't leave your joint from being immobile that long. I understand that protecting the injured, the surgical area, but I don't think it helps because it doesn't circulate any new blood in that area. So the faster you can get it moving after surgery is the better you'll be able to recover faster. So that's my experience. Like I said, let me know if you have any questions, and I hope y'all can get through it better than I did. All right.